I've listened to all your statements, each one of them. And I'm truly sorry to everyone I've heard. Thank you, Your Honor.
4 decades, 13 murders, over 50 rapes, and that's the apology. That's the Golden State Killer today being sentenced in court. Julie Grant has more for us tonight.
It's lockup for life for serial killer and rapist Joseph DeAngelo.
As he was destroying your lives, he got to be on his boat, blow out birthday candles, hold his granddaughter. But all the time in the back of his mind, he knew we would get it. You made it personal, and it was personal for me.
DeAngelo's crime spree began in 1975 when he was a police officer and continued long after he was fired for stealing a hammer and dog repellent 4 years later.
Listening to the description of what was done to all the victims and waiting for him to say guilty or I admit really brought home all the horrific suffering he caused. I sat at Phyllis's home and cried. It is inconceivable that such a creature exists in this world. May he rot in hell.
DeAngelo invaded 120 homes, terrorizing and torturing victims across 11 California counties.
Do you remember holding a knife to my throat as you stuck your disgusting penis in my mouth? What I really wanted to do was to bite your penis off your body. I kept on saying to myself, you are not going to get me. You are not going to get me. You are not going to get me.
Causing immeasurable pain and eluding police is what the man eventually dubbed the Golden State Killer did for nearly 45 years.
It wasn't enough for him to rape or beat or shoot his victims. He really wanted to hurt as many people as he could.
DeAngelo enjoyed his last day of freedom on April 24th, 2018, the day detectives came to his home and arrested him.
DeAngelo, you hurt our family and so many other families so much, but now that part's over. You no longer live in the shadows. We all know who you are. You lurked in the dark so you could prey on innocent victims. Well, now you are the prey, DeAngelo, and you can look over your shoulder the rest of your life.
The 74-year-old showing no emotion during his 4-day-long sentencing hearing and saying this before learning his punishment.
I've listened to all your statements, each one of them, and I'm truly sorry to everyone I've hurt.
It is certain DeAngelo will die a prisoner, being sentenced to serve 11 consecutive life sentences for 13 murders and another consecutive life term for 13 kidnappings.
And while the court has no power to make a determination of where the defendant is imprisoned, the survivors have spoken clearly. The defendant deserves no mercy.
Most importantly, the Golden State Killer can never hurt anyone ever again.
Well, unreal. With the amount of tragedy that he caused for these families, unbelievable. Let's bring in Julie Grant, Court TV anchor, still with us. Do we know where he's going to serve his time and what conditions will be like for this monster?
That's a great question, Vinny, and that was something that these victims spoke about quite a bit this week. The short answer is no, we don't know yet. This is something that when you heard that little round of applause there, in the report when the judge said clearly the victims have spoken, they want no mercy for him. What he meant by that was all week long we were hearing victims saying that they want Joseph DeAngelo housed in the worst conditions possible. They want him in general population so that he will be housed with other inmates and they might do what they might do to him. And they also want him not in protective custody. They want him in a remote location. So ultimately, at the end of the day, this is going to be up to the Department of Corrections in the state of California, right? Those officials are going to make this decision. So we don't know exactly where he's going to serve all of these 11 consecutive life sentences, but they are going to take things into account like his health, like his notoriety, and how that might cause issues with safety for him. And that is why, Vinny, we've been talking so much all week, and so have prosecutors, and so have the many, many victims, about how this guy is such a faker. Faking, I think one prosecutor put it best, feeble incoherence, faking that weak act. He goes into court in that wheelchair. But then prosecutors have been saying all day long, and I said earlier on the program that this guy deserves an Academy Award. They had video of him in his jail cell, and he's actually climbing up on things. He's covering the lights just like he would cover lamps in these victims' homes before he would rape or torture them. He is a sick individual, truly a sociopath. He is fine. He is healthy. He is fit. There's nothing wrong with him. He could go wherever the DOC says he should go.
All right, and again, that line, no mercy, but for some people there is a sense that there was some mercy shown because the death penalty was taken off the table in this case, but it was taken off for a reason. Why did that all happen?
Right. And this was even a tough one for me to wrap my head around, Vinny, until I really dug into this case. Now I understand it. So when you think about any case, you have discovery, right? All of the evidence, all of the materials to go through. Think about this. Think about the enormous amount of victims, 6 different counties. We have 6 different district attorney's office collaborating here. They had 1.3 million pages of discovery, just discovery alone. They also had victims who were aging. They have to consider the victim's health. Witnesses who were aging. If this, is prolonged, witnesses may die off. And then, of course, the defendant's health. So they took into account all of these things, and they estimated that if they went forward with a prosecution from start to finish, this could have taken up to 10 years to get justice in this case. So the short answer is they struck this plea agreement that they presented to the court and the court approved of today for him to have those 11 consecutive life sentences. And they did that so that these victims would receive justice sooner. That was really the only reason, not to show this guy any mercy. He doesn't deserve any mercy, but they wanted victims to get their day, to have the days they had this week, Vinny, so they could look him in the eye, say their piece, and he won't have it easy. Prison, certainly no picnic, and that's where he'll go, and perhaps that will torture him more, and all these victims could only hope so.
Yeah, and realistic, I think it was the right call. I think it was absolutely the right call on several fronts. Yes. Number one, how long it would have taken to coordinate and try this case. And with the shutdown that's happening right now, things are even more complicated, even more backed up. That's number one. Number two, you have a trial. There's always appeals. If you do go for a death penalty a trial, you know how many appeals there are there and how long it takes to actually get someone executed. Yeah, they'll be on death row, but maybe it's better that he's not on death row, not isolated. He's in general population. And probably most importantly, what we saw this week, which was for all of these victims to have a moment. And I think the strength that we saw from these women and other family members was absolutely amazing. And I took away from that I think they are going to be better tomorrow than they were yesterday. They're not fully healed, obviously, but I think they're going to be better tomorrow than they were yesterday, having gone through this and having that opportunity in the courtroom.
Oh, definitely. They got to see justice, right? They got to see justice happen to him. And I want to point out something one accuser said in particular, and you saying that just now, Vinny, made me think of this. So being better as the days go on, right? That's what you hope. You hope there's more and more healing for all of these people every day of their lives. And certainly nothing can take away that pain completely. But victim Jane Carson Sandler, she was raped in 1976. She gave very poignant statements. We played some of them this week. She was also in touch with Joseph DeAngelo's ex-fiance. She read a statement from her. But she talked about the day that Joseph DeAngelo was arrested at his home. And she said, it was funny that he had a roast in the oven and was outside of his house when detectives swooped in, grabbed him up, captured him without any warning. He was stunned. And there was some reporting about having left that roast in the oven. And she said that on that date, she and all the other survivors are going to be celebrating the anniversary of his capture. Every year, they're going to celebrate that day in April where he was captured. I believe it was April the 24th. Of 2018 when they came to his house and April 24th, and arrested him. And she said, they'll have a feast. He won't get a feast. He won't get to enjoy anything, but they will celebrate him being captured and being locked up for the rest of his life.
All right. Julie Grant, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Vinny.